Hi, and welcome to the Niagara Canine Conditioning Center. My name is Carrie, and I am one of the therapists and co-owners of the center. And today we're going to talk about sit to stand. This is a great exercise for all of our dogs. It's really good for our seniors that are starting to have some back end weakness. We use it a lot for recovery in dogs with hind end injuries. And I'm going to introduce you to Barbara.
Hi, everybody.
And Stuart, who are going to do the demonstrations for us today. So to start out, you're just going to do a regular sit on the flat ground. It's nice and easy, and stand. And if you have to get the dog to step forward to stand, that's fine. The key is to have them get up and down as quickly as you can. So with your seniors, it's going to take a little bit longer, but Stuart's a nice young pup, so he can get up and down nice and quickly. And you can see, if you look at him from behind, his knees are nice and square. You don't want to see them rolling over onto a hip, because that means that they're not going to get up properly and engage both back legs nicely when they do get up. So if you're having trouble with your dog sitting nice and square, one thing is get them to stand up before they have a chance to roll over onto that hip. Another thing you can do is move to a mat. It doesn't have to be elevated, it doesn't have to be fancy, a bath mat, a place mat, depending on the size of your dog. And for whatever reason, they become concerned about falling off. So they are more inclined then to keep their feet under them when they go into that sit. Now, if your senior dog has really bad hips and is really struggling with getting down into a sit position, quite often you probably say, well, he seems to prefer standing or lying down. Then move to the stairs, or you can use the curb outside. And what you want to do is have the front feet down on the lower level and the back end up higher, and then tell them to sit. And they don't have to get their bum then all the way down to the ground. Or you can do like Stuart and have them sit on a chair. If you've got a Great Dane or a Mastiff, they're usually pretty good at that. But the idea is to keep the back end on the step when they stand up. Now there's two different ways to work the dog when they're getting up. We mentioned before where you could have them step forward. The other thing that you can do is actually have them sit with something in front of them. And then when they get up, they can't step forward, so they have to kick their back end back behind them. And Stuart's just a pup, so you can see not all dogs are perfect at it.
I'll use my body.
Yeah, you can, and you see how his back end kicked back that time. So you don't have to have anything fancy, you can just have him stand. Oh, and there's a sloppy sit, so that's what we don't want. Thank you for showing us that, Stuart. Actually, that was quite helpful. Another way to avoid those sloppy sits is to do what we call a tunnel squat. So what you're going to do is go in between two things, which you can use the coffee table and the couch.
Coffee table, couch.
Or a wall and your body, and you're just going to get them to go into that space. And somehow he managed to still sit crooked. So we've got too much space for him. So you would just move the coffee table closer to the couch so he doesn't have as much room, wiggle room.
Sit.
There we go.
Good boy.
Now, to progress to making this more difficult, we're going to use our step like a plank. So it's elevated. He has to think harder about where his feet are because he doesn't want to fall off of there. And he's got to keep himself tucked in really nicely. So you can use anything that you have at home. You don't have to have any fancy equipment. This is really good for proprioception. A lot of our older dogs are less aware of their back ends. Same thing with our young dogs. Learning body awareness is really important. And then the next progression from this would be to actually use something unstable. So if you have an air mattress at home, we do have lots of FitPaws equipment here, and we do actually have some for sale. which you can order from us by phone or email. You can use couch cushions.
He does not like.
If you even have a BOSU at home, or other human exercise equipment, you can use that with your dogs as well. And a lot of dogs aren't too fond of this particular piece of equipment because it's really prickly, but it's really good if your dog has decreased sensation in their back legs. So thank you to Barbara and Stuart for their demonstrations, and we will see you next time.